Hello my friends, it's Wednesday, welcome back. You are sneaky devils because I notice about half of you, 50% are not subscribed to the channel. I see that on the analytics and I was really surprised to see it, so let's change it. Push to subscribe right now, easy click. Let's immediately travel to Belgorod, where the authorities have banned filling up the canisters. You can still fill up your car, but not a canister, because otherwise people would stockpile fuel and other people with cars would not get it at all. Let's just watch one video where a local Belgorod woman, being a good friend to her friends, films a gas station saying, "Here, you can get gas, I found one for you." I'm filming for you, Jana. You asked where to find gas. There's some here, but the problem is that all of this is in line. I write to you the address now, and I think the music here is copyrighted. But yeah, you can find gas. I found gas for you, Jana. Don't worry about it. I'm a good friend. But there's 1,000 cars waiting because everybody wants this gas and it's the only gas station in Belgorod that has gasoline. So, residents of Belgorod are whining that they can't refuel their generators during the blackout since many gas stations have banned filling gasoline into canisters. See, in Belgorod, Ukraine struck the power plants and substations. There are blackouts, electricity blackouts in Belgorod, so people need to use generators, but they're not allowed to buy gasoline into canisters or diesel. So you can see the issue, right? And it's getting cold, so it all is going to multiply. Let's go to Feodosia, occupied Crimea. Ukrainian drones struck it almost 3 days ago and still it is up in flames. I can understand it because it's really difficult to put out hundreds of tons of burning refined oil products, almost impossible. And so it is still going up. It is still making a nice, beautiful barbecue that warms my heart, but that's not it. Because Ukrainians struck it one more time yesterday, while the strike from 2 days ago was still burning. Check it out. Flames from the old strike, anti-air defense Kalashnikov fire, tracers going up in the sky, you can see it, and new Ukrainian drones flying through the smoke to hit the oil depot, to hit these few fuel silos who were not going up in flame yet. Now everything is going up in flame. What a bright flash. That's the flash of enlightenment. Beautiful. You have been enlightened, my friends. Look at that, Star Wars. The oil depot itself has been burning for a day and a half, so this was yesterday. Thick toxic smoke hangs over the sky. The occupation authorities report the evacuation of more than 800 people from nearby areas. So yeah, it was so bad that the evacuation orders were given in occupied Crimea. I mean, Russians really don't evacuate their people usually, especially they don't care about the air pollution because of a toxic smoke. When they do that, it shows it has to be really bad. The fire has engulfed much of the terminal. 11 storage tanks have been damaged, 10 of them containing fuel. About 830 people have been evacuated from the danger zone, while others fled to stay with relatives. This is already the third major fire at the Feodosia Oil depot this year. It burned for a week in October 24. And then again for 4 days in early October 25. Now history repeats itself. So yeah, it's after 1 year, October 24 it burned, now October 25 it burns for a week. October 26 it's gonna burn for a week again. Here is a photo for you of the oil depots or fuel silos destroyed before, and the white ones are the ones destroyed now, so you can be pretty sure this entire oil depot is now gone. And if not, we all have time for another weekly bonfire, I think. By the way, I think God approves these Ukrainian attacks because I have proof. Don't take my word for it. Look at the photo. There's a double rainbow on the Feodosia oil fire smoke column. Double rainbow, that's a pure sign of God. There should be a pot of gold here somewhere. Double pot of gold. So a lot of people got lucky. But yeah, I think God approves. But Feodosia was not the only target. It was the biggest one and people talked about. But I gotta let you know about other targets also, because Power plants and substations in Crimea are going down. Much like in Belgorod, they are going to have blackouts in Crimea also. Following the strikes on the Feodosia fuel depot and the 490 megawatt Tavri power plant, Ukrainian Neptune cruise missiles and drones struck the 117 megawatt Saki thermal power plant and two electrical substations, 220 kilowatts and 330 kilowatts, according to the Russians themselves, according to Rehi. Look at that. Saki thermal power plant right here, substation right here, oil depot, Feodosia, everybody knows about that, and another substation of Simferopol. All of them struck all over Crimea. Ukraine is focusing down Crimean oil reserves, refined oil products reserves, and power production capability. They're doing that effectively. But talking about another strike, I don't know if you remember, but there was a Russian man with his car making donuts in front of the burning Sigma shopping center 2 days ago. I loved that footage. Now finally we have a satellite image, of course, what really happened to the Sigma shopping center, how much it burned. Well, you can see it's pretty much gone. Why Ukrainians struck it, as I mentioned before, because Russians made it into their army's logistical supply hub. There's plenty of videos and photos about it that they themselves published, making this civilian shopping center into an army logistics supply hub. It's something you should not do. Anyway, you can see it's burned and Russians could make donuts with the cars, having good time. This is still being the segment of Russian economy. Later on we have international news and also the Frontlines, but continuing with the economy, there's something I would call a wall of shame of European Union. I bring to you a chart, in the name of the truth, a chart of European Union countries who have increased their imports of Russian oil and gas in 2025. Check it out. We have Hungary. This dark red is January to August of 2024. This bright red is January to August of 2025. If this dark red chart here is lower than the bright red chart, that means in this year they're importing more than previous year. So we have Hungary, France, not Slovakia. Slovakia decreased the import. Hungary, France, Belgium, and Netherlands, and Romania, and Croatia, and Portugal. That's too many countries who have increased their oil imports and gas imports from Russia. The EU paid 11 billion euros for Russian oil and gas just first 8 months of 2025. Europe claims to have reduced its dependence on Russian energy by 90% since 2022, yet 7 EU states, France, Netherlands, Romania, Portugal, actually increased imports. Europe is caught in the crossfire. Yes, I could not report about this, but I think I have to. People need to know about this. This is unacceptable. This money goes straight into the invasion of Ukraine, and European Union, these specific countries have paid for it. Remember these countries. I'll read you them one more time. Hungary, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Romania, Croatia, and Portugal. They're importing more of Russian energy this year than last year. That's the wall of shame. But continuing on the Russian economy topic, Russia is actually not doing that good. Yes, these countries might be buying Russian oil and gas more, but it's not enough. This is more bad news for Russia as OPEC only continues raising production. Now a total of 2 million extra barrels per day added to production since April, with 630,000 per day added just in September. The 2 million barrels per day increase is now equivalent to a quarter of all Russian production. You know, OPEC increases the production, oil prices go down, countries that depend on oil prices are doing really bad. That's the cycle we have seen many, many times. Russia really hurts when this happens. And here is the oil price chart. It's Brent, of course, but Urals oil also is sold at about $15 discount compared to the Brent. So Urals is also going down. Oil prices are dropping, taking billions away from the Russian economy like that. Every spike downwards here is billions lost for Russia. By the way, there is a I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Maybe a mystery event connected to Russian economy and the global oil prices, but no one knows yet why. But for the first time in 7.5 years, Iran flagged ships just turned on their AIS beacons all over the world, and suddenly you can see where Iranian oil tankers are. Check it out. You could never see that. I mean, as a civilian at least. The oil market is taking it as a sign that Trump is about to cut a no sanctions deal with Iran. Needless to say, oil price would be absolutely destroyed, sealing Putin's fate. I mean, Iran, we don't know why they turned on their beacons suddenly, but it could be a sign that Trump is talking to Iran, making some kind of a deal. If Iran would be welcomed back to non-sanctioned countries exporting oil, that would slash oil prices, kill Russia's economy really fast. If that's happening, that's Trump's big weapon against Russia. Okay, my friends, before we go to international news segment, I want to read you over 3 videos. I think I haven't done it. Buy Me a Coffee members. We haven't had any new members, by the way. Now we have 2. So, and one of them is an old one who just joined and joins again because I'll be butchering his name again. Ole Jon Bjorkum. Welcome back for the gazillionth time, my friend. Göran was back. Yeah. I don't know which countries have Ö and A like that. We have it in Estonia, maybe Turkey or Hungary, I'm not sure. Where are you from, Göran Vasbak? Thank you for joining up. I'll also read you a good comment from a previous video. Geircha75 says, Artur, the debris from Ukrainian drones are intelligent. Must be quite nice to live next to all those fires in Russia. So many beautiful colors. You can take a breath and enjoy the beauty, like watching Northern Lights. It is. Honestly, watching Feodosia Oil Depot burn for me is like watching the magical Northern Lights. Same thing. Let's travel to my country, Estonia, because Royal Canadian Air Force CF-18 Hornet fighters conducted landings on the public Piibe Highway, Piibe Maantee we call it in Estonia, on 13th of October. This is in Estonia. This is not a landing strip. It is a old highway that we used with my family when I was a kid. Old one, meaning it from second biggest city of Estonia, Tartu, to drive to Tallinn, the capital. Everybody used that road before we had this European Union 4-lane road. So this is the old childhood road for me that we took when we went to the capital. And now seeing Canadian Air Force fighters landing, it's a touch and go. It's not a pure landing. You can see they do a touch and go. But still, I drove on that road with my parents when I was like 9 or 8 when we went to theater to the capital. And now fighters are landing on it. It's such a time warp for me. Takes me back, but in a strange way. Anyway, I'm so glad to see Canadian fighters spreading some freedom on my childhood locations. Wonderful. Thank you, Canada. Thank you for your service also to the pilots. Just to show you, I mean, it's not really connected, but Piibe Maantee, Piibe Highway, right? It's regular, really, just two-way. It's not a highway. It's a two-way road. You can drive 90 kilometers per hour on this one. In the winter, 80 kilometers per hour. It's just a regular country road. Honestly, not a highway. And it goes from, as you can see, Tartu to Tallinn. And I drove around that as a kid many times, looking out the window, counting the street posts and playing around with whatever I saw in the fields in my mind. And now fighter just landing on it. Wonderful. That's a wonderful evolution for Estonia, I think. Alright, enough of that. Let's get to Donald Trump. I know many people want to click away now, but Trump said some stuff that I cannot ignore. Sometimes he says stuff that I have to report, although I don't really like quoting him. But yeah, he said, I don't know why he continues with this war. He lost 1.5 million soldiers in terms of wounded. You know, they have long lines waiting for gasoline in Russia right now. His economy is going to collapse. He just doesn't want to end the war. See, why is this important? Because about 3 to 4 months ago, even 5, Trump was surely in the Russian sphere of influence, informational bubble of Putin himself. Meaning every time he opened his mouth on Russia, it was pretty much Russian propaganda. Now that he opens his mouth, he says there's long lines in Russia, Russia has lost a lot of people, yada yada, meaning he speaks information that is connected to the battlefield, connected to the videos we see in Russia, meaning he changed his source of information. He lets us know that by this. I mean, I'm glad to see that Trump has been de-propagandized and now sees the real picture, which is that Russia is really suffering and their economy might collapse. That's it. That's all. I just wanted to let you know that Trump is now getting his information from a different place, not from Putin. Otherwise, he would be spreading some Russian propaganda. That's it. Moving on. We have Mr. Potato Head. If you don't know him yet, he's Lukashenko, the dictator of Belarus. He felt necessary to console Trump, because Trump did not get the Nobel Peace Prize that he wanted so badly. So I bring you Mr. Potato Head consoling Trump. I would personally advise him not to worry too much about not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, because being among those outcasts is probably not his place. But people around the world should appreciate what the United States and its president are doing on the international stage. The assessment of the global community and ordinary people is far more important than this politicized organization. And it gets good. You might think, why is he yapping about this? Well, sometimes I think, if any of you or I were offered this prize, I would definitely refuse it. What a great man, chivalry is not dead. If Lukashenko the Potato Head would be offered a Nobel Peace Prize, he is the knight in shining armor of good morality, he would refuse it. What an idol. What a way to lead, with example, man. I'm not going to share the rest of it, I don't want to waste your time. But now we know, if Lukashenko was offered it, he would refuse it, and he consoles Trump, that Trump wouldn't be so sad not getting the Peace Prize. Let's travel to the front lines, and connected to it, Russian recruitment officers are reporting diminishing returns. They're hitting a wall. That means usually month to month they have the same amount of new recruits or slightly increasing month to month. But now for a few months the new recruits numbers have been decreasing. Even though the payments, one-time payments in different Russian oblasts are massive. We're talking about 30 to 40,000 USD in some oblasts for one-time payment to the soldier if he signs up. In Russia, that is generational wealth. In Russia, like in poverty-stricken regions, that's massive. And still, they're not able to recruit new recruits. I guess the information from the front travels quite fast and far in Russia. People know if they go, they die. That's the reality. So what Russian State Duma now is doing, they are going to approve a new law. They already proposed it, now they're going to approve it. Meaning this law will change the fact that Russia's active reserve, so the men who have completed conscription in the last 5 years, Russia has about 2 million of such men, they're in hot reserve or active reserve. We have the same system in Estonia, that these men could be sent to fight an anti-terrorist operation outside of Russia borders. That means Putin would not have to declare mobilization to get an additional 2 million troops by the law. Last time he declared mobilization of fall of 2022 was really bad. About 1 million men left Russia. It was a brain drain because the most intelligent and the wealthiest left. So he doesn't want to do that again because that event, exodus, really hurt Russia and Russian economy. He don't want to do that again. So he needs to keep the recruits flowing. Otherwise, there will be losses on the front. So he now is changing the laws that he can include these hot reserves of Russian men without mentioning mobilization or war. First of all, it's an anti-terrorist operation. And second of all, it's not a mobilization. So yeah, but let's speak about things how they are. It's a mobilization to send them to war in Ukraine. But that's what they're doing. And the thing you should take away from it is that Russians are really struggling to recruit new manpower, even with massive payments. That means Russian population is somewhat disillusioned about this war. Without further ado, let's just go to Pokrovsk. I think you've been waiting for this, because Russians, after 2 years, have again pushed in 2 separate attacks in the last 3 days tens of armored vehicles onto the front. They don't do that, they use motorcycles, electric scooters, but now in Pokrovsk, right here you can see, actually they tried to enter Shakova. Let me just very fast drop this settlement right here. You can see there's 2 roads going into it from the Russian occupied land. First one to the east, second one a bit southwest. They used both of these roads. They pushed in 2 separate attacks over 30 armored vehicles and a few tanks onto these roads, both of these roads. Now Ukrainians had mined these roads and also the surrounding areas, and they have a massive drone superiority in the air. So what happened to these assaults? Well, let me break up the latest one for you, which happened yesterday, 14th of October. One of the assaults was trying to reach Mirnogorod, especially taking control of the mine west of the city, a Ukrainian stronghold. They lost 4 vehicles there. Let me just show you where Mirnogorod is. See, Shakova was one axis, Mirnogorod is here right before Pokrovsk. The strike follows this highway here, and they lost 4 vehicles on this grey zone in these fields. Another axis was the Konstantinka-Pokrovsk highway. In the area, multiple Russian columns have been destroyed in the previous months, one of the only one where they continued to send tanks and armored vehicles. However, the main assault directions, the village of Shakova, a Ukrainian stronghold, the ones we talked about on the map. Russia launched multiple armored vehicles, hundreds of soldiers and motorcycles here to break the Ukrainian defense. Shakova is protecting the whole direction, and as you can see, every icon here with the X is a destroyed armored vehicle or tank, and each of them has about 3 to 5 men and some riding on top. So yeah, there's hundreds of casualties of this one battle. Despite multiple assaults of Volodymyrka, just south of Shakova, the Russians still didn't manage to take it. Now it is mainly a grey zone, and tens of soldiers have been brought here. They will probably try to gain a strong foothold here in Shakova. Using armored vehicles is somewhat new to this year. It is also the result of months of reinforcements. The importance of fortifications. To reach Shakova from the main assault route, they need to stay on this road because of the 6 anti-tank obstacles. It concentrates the Ukrainian fire on a single road. As I mentioned, this is the eastern highway going into Shakova, not the other one. And they need to, because of these obstacles here, you can see in the grey zone also, the only way through them is on that highway, which is a kill zone for Ukrainian drones. And it's exactly the same with infantry and barbed wire. They need to walk in the only zones where there are no barbed wire. Here we can see a recent picture and a 1-month-old one, Novodretske. Here you can see a defensive line with anti-tank, dragon's teeth and barbed wire, but it has been cut in this area, so of course every infantryman tries to push through in this one area, and this one area is bombarded with Ukrainian drones day and night. And I mean, I don't know if I can show you this, but there are dozens of bodies. Yeah, it's bad. What is happening near Pokrovsk? The grey zone is increasing a bit. It is getting more and more difficult to consolidate any progress. Pokrovsk is still safe. Fightings are ongoing in Radinske and Udachne, while some infiltrations are going on in the south of the city. And here you can see every lost vehicle, Mirnogorod in the southwest, Shakova in the main 2 axes of attack, and one more in the east, you can see. All of them following, I wouldn't say highways, but just roads leading into these settlements. All of them, these roads are kill boxes, they're kill zones, and they just go through them. The main objective for the Russian forces now is to expand the Dobropilya bridgehead by taking Shakova. Then they will be able to connect again with their isolated troops northwest. They will also try to consolidate gains near Mirnogorod. That was the recent attack yesterday, but 2 days ago there was a similar attack with armored vehicles. Russians have been mounting tanks and armored vehicles in the Pokrovsk axis for months, and now they used it. In 2 days they got about 60 destroyed armored vehicles and tanks. But enough about that. I want to leave you with smiles. I don't know what that is. I saw it and I immediately felt I need to share it with you. Let me bring to you a Russian lada Kamikaze. If you're running out of armored vehicles, if you're running out of good ways to destroy Ukrainian defenses, you can just hop into a Russian lada, not Lada Vesta, the new one with the locking steering wheel, but the good old Soviet lada. You attach some anti-tank mines to the rims, pimp my ride, you pimp it up, and you drive that full throttle to Ukrainian positions. And if you're not eliminated before, you will make a beautiful kaboom at the end of the road. It will be the end of your life also. But also, if Russians are losing too many armored vehicles, they always have the option of using this kind of armored vehicle, which they sometimes are. This is an armored donkey, a war donkey. You don't want to mess with it. Look at it. It's evil. It's effective. It's fast. And it's mind resistant. It's an MRAP of a donkey. Storm donkey, as they call it. This donkey don't mess around, man. Ukrainians are done. That's what I'm going to leave you with. I'll be back for you on Friday, but not as myself, but as a video essay that I have done, because I am called up to training. I'm going tomorrow for 4 days. I'll be back on Sunday, and next Monday I'll be doing a Ukrainian update again. And as I mentioned, on Friday you'll get a video about Russian naval infantry or marines or special forces. But I actually will be somewhere in some military facility doing something. That's all I can say for you. I'll show you videos afterwards if I can. Until then, my friends, subscribe, and I'll see you on Friday. Slava Ukraini. Bye bye.